Hello friends, welcome you all to another video, and today we are going to continue with the paper number 5, that is literary criticism, and we are going to talk about the fourth concept of unit number 1, a literary term, that is the naturalism. As you know that we have seen what is the realism, and we are going to see the naturalism, because naturalism is like realism, depicts more accurate picture, okay, from the reality. The real life is represented through naturalism, but naturalism is something different from the realism. And what kind of that differences we are going to see uh, in this video. So you can see on your screen, the definition of naturalism is like it is a literary movement beginning in the late 19th century, similar to literary realism in its rejection of romanticism, but distinct in its embrace of determinism, detachment, scientific objectivism, and social commentary. And this movement largely traced to the theories of French author Émile Zola. So let's get started with this naturalism. So as I have told you that naturalism is sometimes claimed to give an even more accurate depiction of life than realism. But naturalism is not only, like realism, a specific selection of subject matter and a special way of rendering those materials, but it is a mode of fiction that was developed by a school of writers in accordance with a particular philosophical thesis. And what was that thesis? This thesis is a product of post-Darwinian biology in the 19th century. You have must have heard about the Charles Darwin, and Charles Darwin has written one book, and the name of that book is the Origin of Species. And in that book, Charles Darwin has introduced some theories that human being is evolved from monkeys, like that. Okay, evolution theory he has put in it, and hunger and greed. These are the important, that things he established in his theory, and you have learned it in your 10th, I think, when you were in the 10th in the school. So this post-Darwinian theory or biology held that a human being exists entirely in the order of nature and does not have a soul or any access to a religious or spiritual world beyond the natural world, and therefore that such a being is merely a higher order animal whose character and behavior are entirely determined by two kinds of forces. Number one, heredity and environment. Each person inherits compulsive instincts, especially hunger, the drive to accumulate possessions, and sexuality, and is then subjected to the social and economic forces in the family, the class, and the milieu into which that person is born. The French novelist Émile Zola, beginning in the 1817, did much to develop this theory in what he called Le Roman Experimental, that is, the novel organized in the mode of a scientific experiment on the behavior under given conditions of the characters it depicts. Zola and later naturalist writers such as the American Frank Norris, Stephen Crane, and Theodore Dreiser try to present their subjects with scientific objectivity and with elaborate documentation, sometimes including an almost medical frankness about activities and bodily functions usually unmentioned in earlier literature. They tend to choose characters who exhibit strong animal drives such as greed and sexual desire, and who are helpless victims both of grandival secretion within and of sociological pressures without. The end of the naturalistic novel is usually tragic, but not as in classical and Elizabethan tragedy, because of a hero, but losing struggle of the individual mind and will against gods, enemies, and circumstances. Instead, the protagonist of the naturalistic plot, a pawn to multiple compulsions, usually disintegrate or is wiped out. Aspects of the naturalistic selection and management of subject matter and its austere or harsh manner of rendering its materials are apparent in many modern novels and dramas, such as Hardy's Jude the Obscure, which was published in 1895, although Hardy largely substituted a cosmic determination for biological and environmental determinism. Various plays by Eugene O'Neill in 1920 and Norman Mailer's novel of World War II, The Naked and the Dead. An enlightening exercise is to distinguish the diverse ways in which the relationship between the sexes is represented in a romance. Richard Blackmore's Lorna Doone, which was published in 1869, an iconic comedy of manners. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, which was published in 1813, which is my favorite novel. It is a realistic novel. And William Dean Howells' A Modern Instance, which was published in 1882, and a naturalistic novel Emile Zola's Nana in 1880, or Theodore Dreiser's An American Tragedy in 1925. Movements originally opposed both to 19th century realism and naturalism, although some modern works such as Joyce's Ulysses in 1922 combine aspects of these and other novelist modes are expressionism and symbolism. So these are the things of the realism and naturalism which we have seen, and you can read a various things at Wikipedia. I have not read uh, only definition. I have read this part and other parts I have not read. So you can just type in your mobile phone and you can read out via Wikipedia. But um, I have not prepared the PPT, so therefore I have opened this naturalism concept on website, and then I have talked about the naturalism. I hope that you people have understood the naturalism. If you have any kind of queries regarding it, please ask in comment section. So thank you for watching and see you in the next lecture.